Jonathan Castleman is the Managing Director of Norman & Underwood, a Leicester company with an international reputation in high-quality roofing and glazing. It is noted for its expertise in the ancient art of lead casting, and its craftsmen are employed in the restoration and recasting of the roofs of cathedrals, churches, and other historic buildings throughout the United Kingdom and beyond. The company, now known as the Norman & Underwood Group, began in 1825 when Thomas Norman and Thomas Underwood set up as plumbers and glaziers in Leicester. Thomas Underwood's son John, who was to be mayor of Leicester in 1892, became a partner in the 1860s, and by the 1880s the firm employed 50 men and boys. And at that time it diversified into building and brickmaking. The descendants of Thomas Underwood continued to direct and expand the business, and Jonathan Castleman, the grandson of Lillian Underwood, is the 7th generation of his family to control the business. The company was based in Free School Lane, where Thomas Norman had his house, and it was there for more than 180 years. In 2005, it moved to Scudamore Road, a massive undertaking. The Free School Lane site is now part of the High Cross Shopping Centre. The company is involved in both domestic and commercial roofing and glazing, winning many contracts throughout the country. They will also turn out to make emergency repairs to your broken windows. By trade, Jonathan Castleman is a time-served plumber. He joined the company as an apprentice at the age of 16 in 1982, and after serving his apprenticeship, he worked as an advanced plumber and supervisor in the roofing department, and is now widely known as a highly skilled craftsman with great expertise in lead, copper, stainless steel, and zinc roofing for major heritage projects. He is greatly interested and concerned with the work of the Society for the Protection of Ancient Buildings and the work of English heritage. Jonathan Castleman joined the main board of the company in 2002 and became its managing director in 2006. Roofing is hard work, and Jonathan Castleman is still a fit man. At least, I hope he's a fit man, because this summer, to mark 185 years of his company's existence, he is undertaking a 185-kilometre walk in support of Prostade and Loros, our local hospice. This 5-day walk will be between 5 cathedrals. I don't know if he intends to inspect the lead and glass work of these buildings when he reaches them, but I suspect that after 20 or 25 miles walking, this is possibly a roof too far, even for Jonathan Castleman. Now, Norman and Underwood have long been involved in heritage projects, re-roofing both of Leicester's oldest churches, the Saxon St. Nicholas and the Norman St. Mary de Castro. In 1953, their great expertise resulted in their being called upon to replace the lead roof of Westminster Abbey in London. And in 1966, the year in which Jonathan Castleman was born, the company replaced the lead on the dome of St. Paul's Cathedral. This involved the recasting and relaying of some 111 tons of lead. Such work has long been a part of Jonathan Castleman's life. He has worked on Salisbury Cathedral, on Windsor Castle, on Hampton Court Palace, on Lincoln Cathedral, amongst many others. He has also re-roofed the Prime Minister's official residence at Chequers. A more distant project was the work on Stanley House in the Falkland Islands in 2008. He also works on new buildings, notably the new British embassies in Moscow and in Seoul. In March of this year, Norman and Underwood won contracts for the restoration work on Canterbury Cathedral and Arundel Castle. Perhaps the most prestigious project won by Norman and Underwood in the last 20 years has been the restoration of the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem. This project was funded by His Majesty King Hussein of Jordan, and the contract was signed in 1992. Jonathan Castleman ran it as project manager, living in Jerusalem for over 2 years. 7 of his craftsmen were engaged on the project. The work involved the roofs of the lower ambulatory, which were covered with 140 tons of lead sheet, and the re-roofing of the Great Dome itself. The dome was re-roofed with 18 tons of brass, which was required to be gold-plated. This involved a 3-stage process, the brass being successively electroplated with copper and then nickel and finally gold. The purpose of the intermediate stages was to prevent any corrosive products from the brass coming through and so lengthen the life of the roof. All this work was done on site. So when you see an image of that most iconic of buildings in Jerusalem, its great dome gleaming in the Middle Eastern sun, remember that it is the work of Leicester craftsmen, Norman and Underwood craftsmen, led by Jonathan Castleman. Jonathan has long believed in the importance of training. Norman and Underwood have trained many, if not most, of the highly skilled lead, glass and stained glass craftsmen of the East Midlands and beyond, and most of their senior management have progressed through the company from a craft background. He has written passionately about the difficulties of recruiting apprentices, which arise from common misconceptions about craft work and industry and about the need to change attitudes. Jonathan has recently joined the Prince of Wales Foundation, where he will encourage and support up-and-coming craftsmen, giving them the opportunity to enhance their knowledge and experience of traditional and sustainable building crafts. Jonathan Castleman's expertise was further recognised in 2008 when he became a freeman of the City of London on his admission to the Worshipful Company of Plumbers, a livery company some 600 years old. In this, as in so much else, he is following in the footsteps of his great-great-grandfather, John Underwood. Today, we are proud to honour a Leicester craftsman of international reputation. Mr. Chancellor, on the recommendation of the Senate and of the Council, I present to you Jonathan Mark Castleman, that you may confer on him the honorary degree of Doctor of Science.
So I admit you to the honorary degree of Doctor of Science. Many congratulations, sir.
Good afternoon. Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, distinguished guests, graduands ladies and gentlemen. May I start by thanking the orator for his kind words, and to Paul Goffin, who has looked after my family and myself here today. Thank you both. It is a great honour and privilege to be standing here today. My heartfelt thanks go to the University of Leicester. I am truly proud to be accepting this honorary doctorate from the city I was born and bred in. It is something very special indeed. My family and myself are overwhelmed with it all. It means so much. Thank you. I'm equally delighted to be here today to share this wonderful moment in your lives with your family and friends. They must be extremely proud of you. I would like to congratulate you on the degrees you have obtained. Well deserved and well done to you all. I would also like to congratulate my fellow honorary graduate Jon Holloway for his doctorate in laws. It was in 1982 I left Lancaster Boys Secondary School in Leicester to start my apprenticeship at the family firm. Today, I'm in charge of the country's oldest restoration and glazing family business, which has seen off 6 recessions, now find ourselves having to deal with the 7th. This one probably being the toughest of them all. As a child, I can fondly remember being very proud for what the company stood for, the craftspeople who worked there, and the projects they had been entrusted to work upon. The Dome of St Paul's Cathedral being the most famous project at that time. I was also extremely proud of my father, who was appointed Managing Director and Chairman in 1975, a position he held up until his death in 2004. Having my father as my mentor put me in good stead for the future. As you can imagine, being the boss's son was not easy. I had to grow up very fast indeed. The teasing and the bullying was sometimes very hard to deal with during the first few years. However, the last 28 years have been somewhat interesting to say the least. From being presented with a gold watch from King Hussein of Jordan in 1994 for the work we did on the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem, to having lunch on Bermuda seafront with the Bishop of Bermuda when I surveyed the cathedral roofs, to working on Mick Jagger's house in London and the Prime Minister's residence at Chequers. All these memories and many more I could mention have had their own mark in my life. I have been very fortunate to have worked on some of the most prestigious buildings, not only in this country but in the world. Preserving our heritage in the fabric of these fine buildings is so important, and by passing the skills down from generation to generation is something very close to my heart. I have a lot of time for young people who show a natural interest and respect for conservation. Training for our future is something I have always encouraged to do, and by continuing the process of recruiting apprentices each year, not only does it provide the opportunity for those willing to learn, but also gives our industry the prospect of future craftsmen or women. In life generally, I believe training never ends. I call it the apprenticeship of life. You cannot predict what the future may bring. For example, in 2008, I was standing on the roofs of this very building, surveying the 9 tons of lead stolen off its roof. Today, I am standing in the same building receiving this great honour. It's amazing what life can bring. I hope you all get the opportunity to get what you want out of life. Remember, you never stop learning. The apprenticeship of life will be there wherever life takes you. Keep learning, but most of all, pass the skills and experiences you are blessed with onto our next generation. I would just like to finish by again congratulating you all on your degrees. Good luck to you all in whatever you do. Always be yourself in life and enjoy it. Thank you.